Hello everybody, so in today's video we will be going through the process of installing AWS CLI on Windows 11 environment. Okay, so what is AWS CLI? So I'm going to look it up here, AWS CLI, and you will see here that AWS CLI, which in full is Command Line Interface, provides a unified tool for you to manage your AWS services directly from the command line. Okay, so what this basically means is that instead of clicking through the browser, you can use the command line interface to interact with AWS services. So in your command line interface, you can run some commands that will enable you to interact with whatever service in AWS that you want to interact with. So for example, if you want to create a packet in S3, you can issue a command in your command line or terminal that will do that for you. So what happens then is that when you use the command line interface, you do not have to go to the console and click your way through to whatever action you want to perform, right? So this command line tool is really good for programmers or anybody else really who wants to, instead of using the browser, use the command line itself. And a number of these big cloud providers actually do provide you with some sort of SDK or CLI that you can use to interact with the services instead of going through the browser fashion. So if we talk of Google Cloud Platform, there is Cloud SDK, and in the previous video I went through the process of installing that, and if you have not checked that video, definitely be sure to check it out. So that was on Google Cloud Platform. Microsoft Azure also provides you with this same functionality. So you will see that this is a feature that is common across all of these cloud platforms. So if you're a programmer, data engineer, cloud engineer, or any other role really that lets you interact with these cloud provider services, then having the knowledge of how to use the command line interface might save you a lot of time. Okay, so again, like I mentioned in this video, we will be going through the process of installing AWS CLI on Windows environment. So let's get to it. But before we get started, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please take a second right now and click the subscribe button so that in future I make similar videos, you will be notified. Okay, so to download AWS CLI, all you have to do is go to your browser and look for AWS CLI download. And here you will see this link for install or update the latest version of the AWS CLI. So you can click this and it will bring you to this new page where we have the installation process for all of the operating systems. So if you have Linux, you can follow the instructions for installing it in Linux. If you have Mac OS, you can do it the same for Mac OS. For me, I'm using Windows, so I'm going to follow this one for Windows. So I'm going to scroll down here, and here you will see that there are two options. So you can copy this command directly to your command line and run it, and it will install AWS CLI. But for me, I will go with this first option to actually download the actual installer and install it. So I'm going to click this, and it is going to download right here. Okay, so if you click here in your downloads, you will see AWS CLI v2. Okay, so I'm going to open that, and that should bring me to the installation wizard. Okay, so here in the installation wizard, all you have to do is click next. So here I'm going to click next, and I will accept the license agreement, and I will click next. Now, before I actually proceed with these installation steps, I forgot a step at the beginning, and that step was we want to check if currently we have AWS CLI installed in our environment. So that's a quick one, and I'm going to do that in my command line. So I'm going to bring up my terminal or my command line, and what I want to do is to issue this command AWS. So this is to tell you if you already have AWS installed in your environment, and for me, because I don't have it installed, this should throw me an error. Okay, so you can see here that it is telling me AWS is not recognized. That means that I don't have currently this CLI installed on my laptop. Okay, so I just quickly wanted to show you that. Now we can continue with our installation process, and at the end, when we come back and issue that command in our command line, we should see a different result. Okay, so I will go ahead and click next, and then I will install it. Okay, so this should not take long before installing it, so it's extracting and copying all the necessary files, and after that it will complete installing. Okay, so we'll leave it for a little bit. Okay, so it has completed installing, and you can see here the installation wizard says completed the AWS Command Line Interface version 2 setup wizard. So all you have to do is click finish. Alright, and now how do you check if this CLI has been installed? Now this is a part where command prompt comes in handy. Okay, so I'm going back again and open command prompt. So here in command prompt I will type the same command that I typed a few minutes ago. So that was AWS. Okay, so as you can see now, this command is not failing with the error. Remember, in the previous error it was saying AWS is not recognized. Now we are getting a different error. So what this means is that AWS is now installed in our local environment. Okay, so what I can do from here now is type AWS version, and this will give us the version of the AWS CLI that we currently have installed. So I will enter, and here you will see that we have installed AWS CLI version 2.15, and the Python version we're using is 3.11. Okay, so now we have installed AWS CLI on our Windows environment. So you can ask yourself, right, like, how was it able to recognize this time and we did not manually add it to the environmental variables? The reason is because when you install AWS CLI in Windows, it automatically adds it to your environment variables, and we can check that. So if you go to your environment variables, you should be able to see that AWS CLI is available in the path. So I'll go here to my path and I will click edit, and we should be able to see AWS here. So you see here Amazon AWS CLI version 2. So this is where it's located. It was installed in this directory, and this is where it picked it from. So automatically during the installation it added it to our path, and this is really cool, right? Because sometimes you don't want to go through the hoops of downloading it and adding it to your environment variable so that it can work. So this is a really cool feature that I believe AWS came up with, so that when you install it, automatically it gets added to your environment variable. So for this, you don't have to do anything. You just install it and it automatically gets added to your path. So then all you have to do is play in your command prompt. So it's really cool. Okay, so I'm going to click OK here. Alright, so now that we have AWS CLI installed, what is our next step? So the next step is to configure it, and the configuration process basically will let you connect to your AWS account. Alright, so to do that we need a user and some key. So what I will do is I will log into my AWS account. Right here I am logged in here, and this is my root user. I'm using my root user, or you can use any user that has admin privileges. And what we want to do next is go to users, which is in IAM, and create a user. Now you don't have to do this step. You can use your existing user. For example, if I go to users in IAM, I do have 2 users here. So you can use any user. You can even use the root user. The key is that you should have the credentials, like the access key and the secret keys. So those are the keys that will allow you to configure. Okay, so I do have these users currently, and what I will do is I will create another user. Again, you don't have to do any of this. You can use existing user if you have the keys available for you. Okay, so but for this demo purposes, I will go ahead and create a user. So I'll go here and create user, and here I'm going to say demo user, and I will give this user management console, and I want to create an IAM user. And the reason for this is there are 2 ways of creating user. You can use the identity center. I haven't used this that much, but this is the recommended version. But for this lesson, I'm going to go with the second option, so that we can use this will give us the programmatic access. I believe this also will provide you with the same functionality, but I haven't used it, so I'm going to go with the second one. and then I'm going to put in my password here, and I'm going to uncheck this and click next. And here I'm going to attach policies, and the policy I want to attach here is for admin. So for you, you don't have to choose this same one. You can use any other policy here, but for me, I'll just leave it as admin, and I will click next and create the user. Okay, so I will here, so our user has been created, and so what I'll need to do next is return to users. Okay, so this is that user that we created, so I'm going to click into this user, and the next thing that we want to do is to generate the access keys. So that will be in security credentials. So I'm going to click to this tab and scroll down. So here you will see access keys. This is where we want to generate the access keys, and these keys are going to help us to configure our CLI to our AWS account. Okay, so I'm going to click create keys, and here the access keys that we want to create are for CLI. So because we are interacting with command line interface, so I'm going to choose this first option and click next. You have to agree and click next, and I'm not going to describe anything here. I'm just going to click generate or create access key. Okay, so this is going to create access key and secret access key. So these keys will be useful for us during our configuration steps. So all you have to do is click done, but before you click done, download this. Okay, because once you click done, you will not be able to access these keys anymore. So very important, save these keys somewhere so you don't lose them. So I'm going to download this and click done. Okay, so what we will do now is I'm going to open this access keys, and I'm going to remove this, so don't worry about it. I'm going to delete them after this demo. But yeah, these are those keys. So these are the keys that we will need, right? So once you have these keys available, the next step is to go through the configuration steps. So go back to your terminal or command line, and the next thing that we want to do is to configure it. So to configure it, all you have to do is do AWS configure. Okay, so this is the command that you type and enter. So then it's going to ask you for your access key. All right, so that is the key that we just generated, which is right here. So I'll copy that and paste it here, and then the next one is secret access key, which is right here. I'm going to copy that and paste it here. Okay, and the region that we want to use, for me, I will leave it as US1, and the format will be JSON, and that's it. Okay, so this means that we have now configured our AWS account. All right, so we should be able now to issue commands from terminal that should directly interact with our AWS services. So the first thing that we can do here, for example, is list our S3 packets. So I can do here AWS S3 ls. Okay, so this should list all our packets in this account. So if I click enter, you will see that we have a number of S3 packets, and you can see the same information if you go to your console. So I will do the same. I'll go to my console and go to S3, and here you will be able to see the same information. So here we have those packets. All right, I don't know if it gives it. So it says we have 15, and here I don't know if it counts as well. You can count these ones. We probably should match. Okay, then the next thing that I want to show you on this video also is how to create a packet. So if you see here, we have 15 packets, and I'm not going to count it, but if you want, you can pause this video and count them. We should match. So the next thing that I will do is to create a packet. The command for that is AWS S3 make packet, and what we want to create is I will create a packet called CK data tech. Okay, so if you see, we don't have this packet currently. So after I issue this command, we should be able to see extra packet. Okay, so again, maybe the console will make it easy for us. We have 15. After we create this, we should have 16. Okay, so I'm going to click enter. Okay, so this was successful and CK data has been created. So I'm going to clear this again and issue that command to list our packets. So as you can see, we should have CK data somewhere here, right here. Okay, so this was that packet. And to list if there are any objects inside a packet, the command for that will be AWS S3 ls, and then we want to go to the packet itself. So I'll put it here like this. Okay, so we should not have anything here. Okay, so this is empty, it returned nothing. And here we had 15, so if I refresh the console, we should have 16 packets now, right here. Okay, and we should see that one that we created, and it should not have any object in it. Okay, so we have now created a packet, and the next thing that we want to do is to upload a packet, sorry, to upload an object inside this packet. So for that, what I will do is navigate to a folder in my local system where I do have data, and I will upload that data itself to this folder or to this packet that we just created. Okay, so I will go to OneDrive, and I think it's desktop, and go to data. Okay, so inside here I have some files here, and what I want to upload to that packet that we created is this insurance file. Okay, and that file, if I just show you what is inside there, this is some random data that I downloaded. I believe this was Kakol that I downloaded from. So this is how the file looks like. So we have this information for these are generally insurance information, and I want to download I want to upload this file to S3 using AWS CLI. So to do that, again, I'm inside my root folder where this file is located. So all I have to do is issue this command AWS S3, and we want to copy this file. So we want to copy it to that packet that we created, which was CK data tech, I believe, right? We can confirm that that was it right here. Okay, CK data tech. So once we issue this command, we should be able to see this file uploaded to that packet. Okay, so I'm going to click enter, and it is complaining that this is not the right command. So let's see what is wrong with this. Okay, and the reason is because I did not specify the file. Okay, I need to specify the file that we want to copy. So I will revise this, and right before the destination packet, I want to put the file that we want to copy, which is right this one here. So I will put this one here like that. So it's AWS S3, and we want to copy this file to this bucket. Okay, so I'm going to click now enter, and this should work. Alright, like that. Okay, so this one was successfully uploaded, and now if we do AWS S3 ls and we check for that bucket, we should be able to see that there's a file in there now. Okay, so we see that this was a file that was uploaded. Okay, and as you can see the bytes, right, the size is the same. So if you see here, we have 55, 6, 28 bytes, and we uploaded to our packet the same size. Alright, so we can go to our packet here and refresh it, and we should be able to see that file right here. So there's no refresh button here, so I have to refresh the whole browser. Okay, so this is the file now available, and we can inspect it here as well. So if you click that file and go to object actions, query with S3, and this is a CSV file. It's a comma delimited, and we want to output it in form of CSV. Okay, so I'm going to limit this to 500, and let's run it. Okay, so as you can see down here, this is our data. Alright, so you can see our column fields in the first line, and our data comes up right after that. Okay, in this video we went through the process of installing AWS CLI on Windows 11 environment. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe now so that in future I release similar videos, you will be notified. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. Until the next time, happy coding. Bye bye.